Hello, I'm Millie Weaver, and you are watching the Millennial Millie Show. Today is March 23rd, 2021, and the border crisis continues on. The Biden administration and their horrible border policies are to blame for this crisis, but of course, everyone wants to try to act like this is a big surprise and a shock. They can't even fathom that Biden telling all of the illegal immigrants out there, hey, come to America, you get free healthcare, free college, free everything. We give you a million handouts. And next thing you know, we have a border crisis on our hands. So let's go ahead and get straight into some of these new news articles. It looks like the Biden administration has been blockading the media from entering into these ICE facilities in order to inspect and look at the holding areas where some of these migrants and migrant children are being held. James O'Keefe from Project Veritas has just released a new video on social media. He has obtained exclusive video footage from inside these border facilities. Now, mind you, if this were the Trump administration who had this on their hands, you would never hear the end of it. The mainstream media would just be crucifying the man. But, because this is Biden, they kind of give him a little shake and they say, oh, it's just a border crisis that he's dealing with. Whereas if it were Trump, it would be like they would villainize him as this Hitlerian person putting people in concentration camps. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this video from James O'Keefe at Project Veritas.
Project Veritas has obtained never-before-seen photographs of what it actually looks like inside this facility. Shocking images showing people wrapped up in what looks like metal foil, laying on the ground, their faces covered. Why won't the administration be honest about this? Why won't they show you these images? I'm on the ground in Donna, Texas. If you want to take a look at this facility right here, just a month ago, Customs and Border Patrol agents completed the construction of that facility.
We are a designer toy store in Chicago. We added PayPal as a touch-free way to pay. We just have a QR code up at the register. They just pull their phone out and scan the code. It's been convenient for them. It's been convenient for us. You don't have to touch anything.
We have a man who's telling us to leave.
Well, the pandemic has forced a lot of people into a mental
Not
health
sure what's
crisis.
going on.
In
Looks
his
like we've
recent
got something else
proclamation,
going on here. Damn all these news ads. Okay, sorry guys. Let's go back to James O'Keefe's video.
Project Veritas has obtained never-before-seen photographs of what it actually looks like inside this facility. Shocking images.
I mean, what are they wrapped in? Tinfoil? This is crazy.
Like metal foil, laying on the ground, their faces covered. Why won't the administration be honest about this? Why won't they show you these images? I'm on the ground in Donna, Texas. If you want to take a look at this facility right here, just a month ago, Customs and Border Patrol agents completed the construction of that facility. It's a 165,000 square foot facility, and we have never seen images inside this facility before. They won't even allow the non-profit lawyers who conduct the actual oversight of these immigration detention centers to go inside. We have a man who's telling us to leave. Where would the press?
Oh man, you gotta get off. It's private property.
They told us it's private property, but you know what isn't private property? Airspace. We're gonna fly this Cirrus right over the top of the detention center to get a better look. There's the facility right there. You can see it. There it is. Flying over the facility to give you a good vantage point. During a recent press conference, the press secretary was asked a question why they haven't released these images.
Even you all haven't released any images that you obviously could redact if you wanted to.
Again, we remain committed to sharing with all of you the treatment.
She dodged the question, saying, quote,
and we remain committed to transparency. I don't have an update for you on the timeline.
End quote. Well, press secretary of the White House, let Project Veritas do your job for you. Just last night, we have now obtained these photos inside this facility. Now, these photos are very, very grim. Project Veritas has also learned these photographs were taken in the last few days. There are 8 pods with 8 cells in each facility. At any given moment, there are an average of 3,000 people in custody inside this detention center. The pod has 8 cells that are currently holding that's 600 unaccompanied juvenile males aged 7 to 17. They're separated by age or physical size depending on the room. 50 of the individuals inside this facility were COVID positive. There have been multiple sexual assaults, normal assaults, and daily medical emergencies.
Well, I mean, that's pretty intense to see that. It's sad. It's sad that this is the situation at the border right now. And, you know, it's just one of those things where this is the result of horrible border policies and telling people that they're going to get all this free stuff if they just come to the country right now. And unfortunately, you can't follow through with those promises. So that just seems to be the case right there. It looks like a lot of my show notes just literally disappeared right now. This is crazy. Not sure what's going on. All right, so let's go back and review the border crisis situation. It looks like a town actually in Arizona is having to declare a state of emergency because the border crisis is so bad. They know that they're going to have a massive influx of people at their gates, and the town itself is not going to be able to handle it. It could cost the town as much as $600,000 for 1 year of these new people, with 2 busloads of people each week coming into the country. They're estimating that that could cost $600,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot for just a border town. So this town is now having to declare a state of emergency because this massive influx of people coming up. And there are more behind that and more behind that. And there will continue to be so long as we have open borders in America. This is why Trump wanted to build a wall, secure our borders. We don't know what's going on with these people. We don't know if they have, COVID-19. It looks like all of those COVID social distancing rules just went right out the window when it comes to people inside of these camps because, you know, they have them in these little tiny holding cells together. They're not social distance. They're laying on the floor looking like they're wrapped up in tinfoil. It doesn't look like they care too much about social distancing there. Look at that.
Shocking images showing people wrapped up in what looks like metal foil, laying on the ground, their faces covered. Why won't the administration be honest about this? Why won't they show you these images? I'm on the ground in Donna, Texas. If you want to take a look.
Very, very sad there. Okay, so yeah, that's the situation down there. And Michael Yon, one of America's top war correspondents, he's actually down there following these migrant caravans. And, you know, the pictures he showed us are amazing. I mean, he's just showing how this crowd is growing and growing in number. Now, aside from the fact that they're letting in these unaccompanied minors, the Biden administration actually gave ICE $86.9 million extra to accommodate the people and provide housing and hotel accommodations for the overflow of people that they're having there. But it doesn't look like that money is being put to what they actually intended it to be put to, because it's obviously not being put to the people when they're literally in tiny little holding facilities wearing nothing but tinfoil. Sad turn of events. I personally think that it's unethical to be holding them this way. I think that they should be releasing these children and kids back to their families in Mexico, put them back with their parents, and send them back into Mexico. If people want to come into the country legally, they can apply the proper way, not try to illegally enter into the country and then be separated and be put in these small little detention centers. That's not the right way to go about it, obviously. What are they fleeing from, right? When we're just letting all of these people in unvetted into our country, at some point, the violence and the crime and the cartels that they're fleeing from in Mexico, they're just going to come right up here to America. And what are they fleeing from at that point? right? If it's all just coming along with them. Now, we know that people from all other countries are pouring in to Mexico, and they're trying to get up through Mexico, through our southern border as well. So people from the Middle East and other countries. Now, let's go to Colorado. Boulder, Colorado. There was a mass shooting the other day, and it's very sad. 10 people were killed in this shooting. Of course, we're going to hear more about guns and how guns are to blame, but I'm just going to tell you, I believe the real issue here is mental health in America. There's a serious mental health problem in this country. The mental health crisis is so bad that in California, you have massive amounts of homeless people sleeping on the streets, wandering around with serious mental health problems, talking to themselves. There are drug problems. Part of this has been allowed to just spiral out of control because America's shut down a lot of their institutions because there were some civil rights abuses and violations to some of the patients that were inside some of the old mental health asylums. But instead of addressing the rights of the people and better treatment for the mental ill people inside of asylums and mental health treatment centers, they just shut them all down and took the funding away from that. So now the homeless people are just running around on the street. Mentally ill people are running around on the street homeless, and same with mentally ill people just in general in society. So it looks like the family of this shooter is saying that the person had a history of some mental health issues. The victims of the shooting are young, aging from age 20 to 65. That's 10 people killed. The gun that was used was just a rifle, so we know that if it would have been like an AR-15 or something, we would have never heard the end of it. You know, the media is covering this. They are showing what happened. This was at a King Soopers in Colorado. King Soopers are great grocery stores, by the way. I would frequently shop at King Soopers when I lived in Colorado. And so the police got into a shootout with the suspected gunman, 21-year-old Ahmed Al-Aliwi Asila of Arvado, Colorado, and he was taken into custody at 3:28 on Monday. This is the suspect right here. Apparently, he's a Syrian-born migrant. He came to the country in 1999, and he has lived here ever since. So he is Muslim. He believes in Islam. He would frequently post on his Facebook and other profiles, which have now been taken down, about Islamophobia and how he was really resentful against people for Islamophobia. And he mentioned the Christchurch shooting and that was because of Islamophobia, and yet here he is, a man of Islam, a Muslim man, going and shooting up a grocery store chain. Not sure if that's the way to cure Islamophobia, but the family says that he has had a history of paranoia and mental health issues, always thinking people were out to get him. One of the police officers was killed and shot in the shooting, trying to apprehend the shooter. So it's very sad that this family has lost their loved one, and many other families have lost their loved one in this shooting. It's always a tragedy when these things happen, but once again, it's not guns to blame. Somebody could find a way to kill anyone with anything, really and truly. They could try to make a bomb out of something. They could run people over with cars, stab people. I mean, there's ways to kill people, and people will figure that out. If that's what they want to do, they will figure out a way to do it. You could try to ban certain types of guns, ban whatever. You're not going to stop people who are intent to cause carnage. You won't stop that unless, of course, you are a law-abiding gun owner. I mean, at that point, you might have a better chance stopping somebody, right? Instantly being able to respond. That's the solution, I think. But it is pretty scary to see these types of shootings happening across the country. And it looks like they're picking back up. I would say the mental health issues in the country right now are pretty bad. They're saying that we're having a mental health crisis in America right now because of the lockdowns and people being socially isolated. people being forced to be indoors, not being able to go out as much and socialize, and it's causing mental health problems in the country. So that's also another thing I think going into play here. But it is interesting just to see the media and their slanted reporting the other day, reporting on the gunman who shot up the Asian massage parlors, rub and tug type places, because he was a sex addict and saw those as places of temptation. Once again, sounds like somebody with mental health problems, okay, going and shooting up a place, and they turned it into Asian hate violence, and that it was they're saying it's a hate crime and investigating it for a hate crime. And, you know, they had an entire congressional hearing on it, and talking about hate crimes against Asians, which are very rare, by the way. And then now here you have an Islamic man, a Middle Eastern man from Syria, going and shooting up a King Soopers full of mostly shooting down white people, right? And instead of them saying, oh, it's a hate crime, even though in his actual posts on social media, which would point to that, like possibly retaliation for the Christchurch shooting, right? Because that was a white man shooting up an Islamic church. Now we have a Muslim man who's upset about that other shooting, going and shooting up a bunch of white people inside of a King Soopers. Okay, so that looks more in line with what you would call a hate crime, but they're never going to say that because he is a minority and it doesn't fit their narrative to say that white people can be targeted based on their skin color. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. Obviously, I had a bunch of show notes prepared for you guys today, but not sure what happened. It just crashed at the last second. But that's fine because I like hearing from you guys, and I'm sure you guys have some really wonderful takes on all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. I'm going to give out that call-in number, so get prepared. Get ready to dial in quickly. I know a lot of people try to get on and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and start the call-in. All right. And I'm putting up the call-in number right now. All right, so give me a minute here. Get ready. Call in 855-475-1776. That's 855-475-1776.
Record your own screaming monster madness. You may be heard by millions nationwide. Call now. Under 18, get permission before calling.
What makes people all over America break down and cry like this? If you're under 18, ask your parents before you call.
Hey, kids, call Ask Mom or Dad first.
Don't get the phone! I said get it, not eat it! Now, to call, you gotta ask your parents' permission and call this phone number.
There's a new adventure every day.
You've seen them before, but you've never...
All right, so let's go ahead and start taking some calls. 855-475-1776. That call-in number is up there, and let's go ahead and go to our first caller. Let's talk to JC on the border crisis. Hi, JC. You're on.
Hey, Millie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. I am calling because I was doing some math this morning, and I was looking at that $86 million that they were putting towards the border crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to break that up into the $1,400 stimulus checks that we got, would mean that to equate that to how many people would be 61,400 illegal immigrants. Which, if there's that many, according to Pelosi, there's no crisis, and according to a lot of the other Democrats, there is no crisis. But it seems like they either care more about the immigrants than they do the American people, or they're lying about the number of people there.
Yeah, I don't think that they care about the immigrant people really and truly. They have them in those facilities on the floor with foil-looking blankets on them. What they're doing is they're using the crisis to justify more money, like $85 million. And then what ends up happening is most of that gets laundered. Most of it gets laundered. That's the same thing that happens with the homeless crisis. They love to have this ongoing homeless crisis in California because they get all this government funding and then they launder a bunch of it, misappropriate a bunch of it, and then the people are still homeless. You know, they don't actually care about the homeless people or the people in the detention facilities.
Yep, totally agree. I don't think they care about any of us, actually. American people or the immigrants.
Right. The establishment, their MO is profit over people. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for your call, JC.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so let's go to the next caller. Hello. You're on the air.
Millie! Millie!
Yes.
How you doing today?
Good.
I thought you'd blacklist my number by now.
Oh, no.
But that's... Just wanted to tell you, good show. Love you. Take it easy, all right?
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything to say on the border crisis?
All right. Well, just that it's a joke, Millie. I mean, like that previous guy said. I mean, they don't care about anybody. This whole thing is such an illusion, a joke, any way you want to take it. But, you know, I truly feel sorry for the younger people because, for one, they've listened to what is such a big lie and they still can't see through it, what they're doing. So, I mean, I got a few friends that are still Democrat and I just laugh at them because they don't, with the border crisis, I've told them, do you guys realize that you're going to have to pay for all these people? Shelter, right. Food, we educate them. What is it they don't get? And they said, well, I don't care. I just tell you guys are pathetic.
And, you know, and it's one thing to do that, right? To be able to do that is one thing. And to want to do that is one thing. But the other issue is we have Americans sleeping homeless on the street. We have Americans struggling, not even being able to afford their own health coverage. People being taxed to death. And America is having a crisis right now with our economy. Jobless people because of the COVID pandemic. Businesses have been shut down. And then to put on top of that a massive influx of people who we're going to have to be supporting financially because the Democrats want to give all these handouts, that is a big burden to place on the American people.
You know, it is, Millie, and that is what's so sad. And once these people have to pay for all the new taxes, they surely are going to wake up sometime. Or it's still going to be Biden, Orange Man bad. You know, that Trump did everything. Definitely. You know, I just, they're just pathetic. I mean, they need to wake up, you know, and that's how I look at them. They're pathetic. I hate to say that, but I mean, come on. If you can't see through what's going on, then I don't know if there's hope for you.
Yeah, you know, definitely. Well, thanks so much for calling, Vern. Thank you.
Sure, Millie. Nice to talk to you again.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the next caller. All right, let's talk to Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. So what are you thinking on immigration and the border?
Well, I moved here to Texas about 2.5 years ago from California. I lived in California for 42 years, and I grew up in California, and it was a different place at the time, and I was able to ride my bike and ride my skateboard and go swimming and have a good time. And that state got completely taken over, so I moved to Texas to assimilate Texans because that's how I want to live. I want to live like an American. And I don't have any problem with people coming over here, doing it the right way, doing it legally. But right now we have a green light that just says, come on through, come on through. We got you covered and this and that. And I just don't think it's fair. I think that it's purposely done. It's a grand scheme. It is it's something that has been prepared and now is in action. And I can totally see it happening, as I think a lot of Americans can.
Yeah, and it's not even like they're just saying, come on through, but hey, when you get here, you're going to have to pay your own way. You're going to have to pay taxes. You're going to have to, support your own selves and your family and prove that you can do so. No, it's come on through. We're going to give you all of these government handouts, free college, free healthcare, free everything. And then we're going to tax the actual American taxpayers and keep these people as illegal citizens who then are even able to get benefits from the state. Most of them are getting benefits from their children or whatever that they have in the States. And then, we all end up paying for that. I think that's one of the main issues, wouldn't you say, that most people have with the current immigration system, the way the Democrats are setting it up? Hello, Jason. All right, looks like we lost that call. All right, so let's go to the next caller. Let's go to Joe. Hello, Joe. Hello, Joe. Oh, not sure what's going on here. We might have to reconnect. Let's go back. I'm going to put the call-in number back up again, and I'm going to try to get everything back up and going. So bear with me. I don't know what's going on. Today has been crazy, having technical issues. All right.
Record your own screaming monster madness. You may be heard by millions nationwide. Call now. Under 18, get permission before calling.
What makes people all over America break down and cry like this? If you're under 18.
Alrighty. Let's try this again. Hello. Hello. Is this Joe?
This is Joe.
Okay, hi Joe. You're on the air. What do you think about the crisis at the border?
Well, I probably pretty much think what all your callers and what you think, just to cut it short. But I actually had a question for you because I'm aware of so many laws, but then again, there's always something new to find out that I don't know that, hey, that existed. So with all these numbers coming in and this often, is there anything that you know of that can be done later down the road that's not too far from today as far as somebody stopping this administration from doing this? Because obviously I know Congress can do a lot, but we're kind of outnumbered there. But is there anything else that can probably be done?
Well, I couldn't really understand what you're saying completely, but are you asking, like, what could be done to stop the people from coming in through the border?
Yeah, that's correct. As far as anything or any kind of law that could kick in or anything where the states could say, nah, not going to happen anymore.
Sure. Well, there are things that the governors can do in those border states. I believe the Texas governor, Governor Abbott, has deployed National Guard down there. So I think that, I think that the governors themselves actually can take power into their own hands. There are states' rights at the end of the day. So there's that.
But what about all these places where they're keeping them, and those are pretty much run by the feds? That's why I'm confused, I guess. Because I'm in Texas. I'm in Dallas, Texas. And after seeing all these places where they sleep and they keep them, it's like, well, can states say anything because it's within that particular state, but it's run by the feds? That's why I get confused.
Right. The border, the territory that a fence or a wall would have been on is controlled more like by ICE and the federal government. But as soon as they come in to the actual state, in the state property, I feel like those governors have they have power there, right? So Texas Governor Abbott, he has been he's already been directing National Guard down there. He's been directing states' resources to deal with the crisis at the border. They're not going to just roll over and let this happen. The Biden administration can try to do what they will, but at the end of the day, the governors do have some sway. They do have some power. Now, I don't know if that could result in the federal government trying to penalize Texas or penalize any of these states that decide to start policing their own borders or sending people back or having National Guard stand in the way. But that's something that we'll just have to see what happens, We'll definitely have to see what happens.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much. And I would ask you to marry me, but I'm sure you're taken. But thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Let's go to another caller. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, this is Carlos Lopez. I'm here from New Jersey. I want to talk about the topic in the border. I just feel like these people that are coming in, if they're willing to break into this country, and I don't think, like, if they're not willing to fight for the problems within their borders, what makes you think they're going to be patriots towards this country?
Right. Well, they certainly aren't being taught about rights, what it is to be American, like you would be if you underwent the proper process of becoming an American citizen. You have to take classes and learn about American history and your rights. And that's the scary thing, is people who come into the country and never are really informed about rights and the American values that we hold, when they then become naturalized or become citizens, they aren't going to know to maintain it. They won't know that they need to maintain it. They're just going to vote in any way which, somebody's saying to vote for. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where if you're taught about what America is and why you have these rights, you're more likely to vote to preserve those rights versus never knowing, that you even have the rights to begin with.
Yeah, and in some cases, like in the Middle East, immigrants from the Middle East, they bring their culture, and the culture collides with our culture here in America. And like for example, LGBTQ, whatever, they don't like that. They don't like gays. They don't like, they don't like feminine rights. They don't like anything like that.
Right. Sharia law does not like gays.
Yeah,
they don't like any of that. Yeah. In some of the, ISIS and these extremist Islamic groups, they'll throw gay people off of rooftops. They kill them in the streets. They kill women for not covering their faces. They're extremely, they're extreme in their religious beliefs. Let's just say that. And, I would say, you said that America, we have very much different values from Sharia law. Although I will say, with us being forced to all wear these masks, like you see, it's starting to feel a little bit like Sharia law, right? It is.
Yeah. The black mask, especially the black ones.
Right. You get beat up if you go to Bed Bath & Beyond or Bath & Body Works, whatever it was. You get beat up for not wearing a mask by other women. That's kind of how it is in the Middle East. If a woman's caught without wearing her face covering, the people will just beat her up. So.
Yeah, like I'm Spanish myself. It used to be that if you wanted to live in this country, you have to be indoctrinated into all culture. No, the presidents, no, the states, everything, and the language. And now it's becoming that they're bringing their culture, and their culture, some of it's really bad. I'm not saying that eating tacos or anything like that from Mexico and that type of culture is bad, but it's a lot of bad cultures that are coming into this country that, it's ruining this country.
Right. And, I remember when I used to live back in California, going to a court for a traffic court and sitting in there. And most of the other people in there were probably immigrants, maybe legal or illegal, I'm not sure. But I just remember everyone like getting up in front of the judge one by one, and just they had to have translators for what the judge was saying. And then all of them would just say guilty, right? Guilty. And I don't know, maybe they were guilty, right? But it's just, it was like that mentality, the mentality of just like rolling over and being like guilty and not fighting, not even, I don't even know if they knew that they could have a day in court or have a trial or fight it, And so what concerned me watching it, I was concerned about, do these people even know that they have those rights? That's kind of what was going through my mind is, do they even know that in America we have rights, we have the right to a trial, we have, and so I guess that's what concerns me is when all these people come flooding in, they won't know that they have the rights, and therefore they won't know to maintain them, if that makes sense. So it makes it easier, for the authoritarians to come in and just do what they will with the people.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about immigrants, especially from El Salvador, Ecuador, and they don't seem to have the same news that we have here. They seem to not to know that they're just being sent here. They just they have an opportunity to come here for jobs and stuff like that, and then just get in. They don't have no idea.
What's going on? What happened?
A lot of them don't have the. They think that they're going to come here and they're going to be handed a home, a car. They don't understand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your call. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, no problem. All right. Bye.
Okay. Sorry about that. Not sure. I'm telling you, I'm having some weird technical issues over here. I'm literally watching my phone because my phone's plugged into the system. Okay. And it has to just be left alone. And I'm literally watching it. It looks like somebody's pushing the speaker button on and then pushing it off and then pushing it on. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on with my electronics right now. It's pretty creepy. All right. Going to the next caller. Hello.
Hey, Millie. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Great. When I came into the States from Canada back in the 1970s, I was young. I worked at the Mid-America Commodity Exchange, everybody had to do the American way. It's not hard for Canadians to come, back then anyway, before all this crap happened. But I mean, we have to respect the Westphalian nation state instead of this New World Order. Because when I went down there, I was working in West Jackson Boulevard. And, I was working at the commodity exchanges. It later on became the American Stock Exchange, and then later on became the NASDAQ. So I've been very, very upset. I've followed you ever since the incident happened to you and Gavin on 8/14 of last year, and or 8/15 of last year. And I've been stuck listening to Tori. Tori is better than listening to Q. I mean, she's so smart. You and your husband and your kids, I just wish everything the best for you. And, I'm very, very upset, though, that the AFL-CIO and the Chambers of Commerce could just move in there, both Republican and Democrat, and overthrow the presidency. I haven't been this upset since I was 6 years old, coming home from Mrs. Stewart's class, learning about JFK's assassination. That's how bad this thing in history is.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that January 6th was the day that democratic elections died. I think that
I believe so.
What that represented was we don't have a voice. We don't have a vote. Our votes can be stolen from us, and the establishment, rhinos and Democrats will just all go along with that, because if there's a power structure that control the voting, well, the politicians are going to be buttering up and protecting that establishment so that they can assure that they will get re-elected and, that the voting will be in their favor next election, right? At that point,
yes, of course,
their constituents are not us. We're not, the ones who have the final decision over whether or not they're in office. It's Dominion and all of these other voting systems that have that godly power to, basically pick and choose who our rulers are, because at that point, are they our representatives or are they our rulers if we don't even elect them? So yeah, I can understand why you're upset. I'm upset. I feel the same way as you do. I feel like that was a really historic moment in American history, in a bad way.
I feel very concerned about the guy up here doesn't have much more brains than they even have resembling eyebrows when they squint.
Right.
The guy that's president now and the Justin boy up here, I think that we are in a lot of trouble because, this guy wants to look after PLA troops who are watching, precious mineral sites that they bought. Once you let communist troops in your country, you're finished. And I think that, I believed that Q would answer sometime between now and April or sometime, because this has been wrong. And the reset, I'm very, very upset about this coming reset and the Davos, the Davos circle, the closed circle, the people that are the elites that are running this world. This city of the capital city where I live of Canada is just left wing. Everybody's left wing here. And I've been listening and extrapolating everything I can learn about the Cold Warren show because I believe that they can work here in our provinces against Governor Ford, who's a conservative, but he's a rhino. Governor Ford in Toronto at Queen's Park, he needs to be booted out of there. And we need to get all the other parties are all just more left, though. So I don't know what we're going to do up here because the Conservative Party of Canada is exactly the same as Republican rhinos. They want Harper back here, and Harper left in 2015. He got beat by Trudeau, but I mean, Harper's no better. We're all in the same conundrum, and we got to get out of this. It's going to be a long fight. So I want to tell you that I would love to wish you and your husband and your kids, I hope nothing like that ever happens to you again. And, you know, and I'm always listening to Tori every day. And if I miss her, I get a playback on her on their website or whatever. And I'm listening and supporting you too, you know. So
thank you. I appreciate
God bless you,
that.
my dear sister.
You too.
And you're in our prayers up here. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. And you know, you guys can also watch me on Twitch as well. And you can have those features like playing back episodes and making little cuts and clips to share with people. On Twitch, you can watch all of my episodes. I know right now I am streaming on multiple social media platforms at the moment. However, tomorrow I am not going to be streaming on YouTube and these other platforms like Facebook and Periscope. I'm just only going to be doing Twitch. So if you want to be part of my regular broadcasts, that is the place to go. Twitch at 2 p.m. through 3 p.m. Eastern. And oftentimes I've been going over till like 3:30. So you might catch me on some days going to 3:30. Like today, I'm probably going to go to 3:30 again just to get through some of these callers. All right, let's go to the next caller. Hello.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hi, Millie. It's Donald here from Canada. How are you today?
Good.
Hey, I've been watching you for a very long time. I'm a big fan of yours, and keep up the good work. I wish you were back on InfoWars, but Alex and you had a disagreement, but keep up the good work. I'm going to say here in Canada, the last caller who called in, yes, Canada is turning into a left-wing nutcase place, and it's a joke up here. We have to wear a stupid mask. We got to wear all this stuff, and it's garbage.
Right. We have to wear masks here in America, too, apparently. Although it's pretty unconstitutional. We shouldn't be forced to have a mask or medical treatment, but they still mandate it. And the problem is when people in society just all go along with it, it makes it harder to be that person standing on the outside saying, no, I don't want to, when everyone else is enforcing it. And you have citizens in your own country beating up other people for not wearing masks. I'm sure
it's actually true. I've seen it up here myself. I literally have been banned from the BC ferry for not wearing a stupid dog muzzle over my face, and I just got banned from a bus for not wearing a dog muzzle over my face. They don't honor medical exemptions with people with disabilities, and it's getting bad. And it's getting so bad up here. And just it's getting out of control. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Soyboy, or Mr. ISIS, or Mr. Jihadist Trudeau, he doesn't give a damn about the people. He just gives a damn about himself and his wealthy little friends. Look, Minister Haidu, who's the Minister of Health, basically said if we don't social distance, right, our civil liberties will be taken away, and it's on my YouTube channel. And I just basically posted the video where I got kicked off the bus and just basically how these people can snitch on people. Look, I have a disability, and it's disgusting and all that.
Right. Yeah, there are people with autoimmune conditions, lung conditions that can't wear the masks. It causes their autoimmune issues to get worsen. But most people don't seem to care about that. And like you said, I mean, it's crazy that people are just all enforcing it and going along with it. Well, thank you so much for your call. I really appreciate it.
Millie, be safe out there. You know what? You're a good reporter. Keep up the good work. Just do what you got to do and stay safe out there and keep up the good work. And be safe. From Donald, and I'm Donald from Canada.
Thank you, Donald. All right, so let's go to the next caller. All right. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Millie.
Hi
Long-time listener. First off, I just want to say that one of my most shared videos of you was when you went during the Trump rally and showed that protester both sides and took him through the line and had him see that Trump supporters are not racist. So I just want to let you know that was great work, and there's very few people out there that are actually doing real on-street reporting like that. So
thank you. That documentary, for you guys who want to watch that documentary was called Love Trump's Hate. And it's on I think it's on my YouTube channel. I know it's on my Facebook page. Yes, it's on my YouTube channel. You can look it up. It's the documentary called Love Trump's Hate. And you're talking about the one with Marco, right?
I forgot the guy's name, but
Yeah.
you took him through the line and everyone was very welcoming, as we all are.
Yeah, that was great. And that was, I literally, that was just by the grace of God. That just literally all worked out as it worked out. And it happened as it happened. Some people were even trying to be like, oh, that's staged. No, it was not staged.
People would say that. Yeah, people would say that to me, and I'm like, how is it's no cuts in this video at all? How is that staged? It's not even close to being staged.
Right. And you can even look in, like,
no, that was
look up this guy, Marcos Powell, and I found like one article of him that existed prior, and it was him at a Black Lives Matter protest. And it mentioned him as like a leftist activist or protester, and he was interviewed. So I guess he frequently goes to left-wing protests and things, but I've never been able to find him on social media. I know everyone's been asking for follow-ups. People want to follow up on him to see
that would be good.
if he still believes the way he did at the time of the filming, and I wish I could find him, but it's like he doesn't even have social media profiles or something. I'm like, where is this guy? So if you're out there, Marco, reach out to me. Call in on the call-in number. I'd love to talk to you.
That would be a great follow-up if you could get it.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, regarding the whole immigration thing, a lot of things you've been already you touched upon. But one of the main core things, I think, is the federal government's just got to stop with the pouring of money to every single situation. Stop giving all these handouts, and let there be less government. Let the states run their state without having deficits. Be able to say no to people. Sorry, we want to help everyone, but we got to help ourselves first, just like you would help your family before helping a stranger. As much as you like to help everyone, you got to help the ones closest to you first. And the federal government just needs to take care of the things that they're supposed to take care of and let the states compete. And if states want to give everything to everyone, we'll see how long that lasts. Maybe they have a solution that we haven't thought of, but I doubt it. So they got to stop printing money and that's that. But the other issue is that you mentioned a few times about voting, but we've already seen that our election system is broken. And as far as Democrats and Republicans, maybe there's a handful of Republicans that I think are trying to do the right thing, but they're still voting on bills that are giving billions away to other countries. They got to stop that. If you ask the average person on the street, do you agree with giving money for a monkey research somewhere, they'd say no. Give it to me first. Give it to all the people in our country first. So that's the solution. Stop giving away money that we don't have in the Federal Reserve and let the states compete with each other.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something that needs to be done. Definitely something that needs to be done. Well, thank you so much for the call, Michael. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
Okay, let's go to the next caller. All right, let's go to Chris. Hello, Chris. Hello?
Hey, Millie, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Hi, Millie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, very good. Yeah, I just, cool. I was going to talk a little bit about what our governor here in Michigan was saying on Friday.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Apparently, as of Monday, we are now allowed to Yeah, apparently on Monday, yesterday, we are now allowed to have stadiums and concert events open to 20% capacity. It's a 2-0. I've been out of work since a year ago when they closed down all the concerts. I'm a stagehand union member, and they put us all out of work, and most of my friends and colleagues have not gotten a dime from federal government or the state for unemployment. They're saying they owe me $8,000. It's been on their website. You can't get in there. You can't call them. It's absolutely ridiculous. I had to move out of the city and went and moved up north. And now I work on a farm. It's a little bit nicer, but I didn't want to have to go about it this way.
Right. So are you saying that they have just done a new order that concerts and big venues are closed? Like, had they reopened them and now they're closing them again? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that they have been closed. They opened up with limited capacity to begin with. I had no idea it was under 20%, but as of yesterday, it's now gatherings can be increased up to 20% capacity in outdoor stadiums and arenas if they follow 5 of these extreme guidelines. So once again, our entire summer concert series, our entire sporting event series for the summertime, Michigan's only warm for about 5 months out of the year. That's how all these places make their money, and they're devastating us again on our tourist season.
Wow. So you think this is going to have a major impact on Michigan's economy?
I just wanted to... A huge impact. I am going to be very surprised if they end up reelecting this governor. But no, it has decimated this state. And like I said, they put so many of us out of work for so long. I know a few people who have had to move out of states, a number of people that have had to readjust their entire career and living situations. All of my stagehands friends, you know, we'd set up concerts for Metallica and Garth Brooks and anybody who'd come through town. Haven't had work in about, I don't know, 10, 11 months. And no sort of compensation for it either. The website's been down. You can't even get into the Secretary of State still to renew your license tabs. It's off the wall.
Wow. You know, it's unfortunate because under Trump...
If you don't have an internet connection, you're totally screwed.
Because you don't have anything to do, right? You just go insane by yourself in social isolation. It's crazy. Well, thanks so much for calling.
Well, it's very difficult when you try and get out to a... Oh, thank you very much, Millie. I appreciate your time.
All right, thanks. All right, I'm trying to be a little bit shorter with the callers today just because I want to be able to make sure we get through to as many people as we can. All right, let's go to the next caller. All right, let's go to Tammy. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Tammy.
Hey, Millie. How you doing today?
Good.
I just wanted to call and let you know, give you a little warning about if you put your children in public school systems. I have a son who's 20 and a daughter who's 18. And when I first put him in kindergarten, right off the bat, actually first grade, they said he was a hyper child. You know, they really wanted me to put him on medicine. And really, they just give you this little form to fill out that asks about 20 questions, and you're supposed to take that form to your pediatrician. And the pediatrician just looks over the form and checks a couple of the boxes. Oh, yeah, you can't sit still in this chair, this, that, and the other. Yeah, he needs medicine. there's no really good medical evaluation for it. And my daughter wasn't any smarter than him. They were, both on the same level. But the school system really pushed back on me when I didn't agree to put him on the medication. Like, he was always in trouble, and you could just tell their whole attitude changed once they saw that I wasn't going to put him on the medication. To make a long story short, I think what's wrong with a lot of kids nowadays, that I wonder how many of those kids that go in and shoot up places were on medication or supposed to be on medication. Because once they get older, because he had friends that were on a lot of those, like Prozac, Adderall, they wouldn't take the medication right. They would tell their mom, yeah, I took my pill today, but they wouldn't take the medication right. And after you've been on that stuff for quite a few years, you got to get addicted to it, and it changes the brain chemistry in you. So I feel like probably a lot of these young kids that are out there going crazy and doing stuff were probably all on medication at some point in their life.
Right. I've known a lot of people who were medicated when they were kids, and then they later grew up to have addiction issues, drug issues, because it was like it rewired their brains to crave that type of stimulation, and they didn't want to take those pills like Ritalin or Adderall for the rest of their lives, right? So they end up going on to other drugs and whatnot.
Exactly. And my son's 20 now, and once he went through puberty, I mean, everything calmed down. He was just a hyper, he was just, in my opinion, he was just a boy. I've got three girls and him.
Well,
and they're all
they've been shortening recesses across the nation to where they give smaller length of recess time, and, some schools only give like 20 minutes of recess. That's insane. They expect little kids like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade to just sit in a desk all day in a chair. And if the child is like getting antsy, then they need to be drugged. It's crazy.
We went to so many meetings. They would have a meeting for me at least once a month. You got to come in and talk to us. Jacob keeps getting up. Jacob keeps interrupting the class, et cetera, et cetera. Stupid little things that, and it really pissed them off that he wasn't on medication. They got a totally different attitude towards me down through the months and years once they saw that I wasn't going to medicate him. I feel like they just want kids to go to school, be quiet, be little zombies, sit there and do what the teacher tells them to do. And I'm not blaming all the teachers. There's just rules, so many rules that they have to go by. And I feel like it messes with the kids' minds later in life.
Right. Well, I can tell you firsthand because, when I was like a young teenager, a psychiatrist gave me Ritalin for a short period of time for ADD, right? And I remember taking it, and it just completely, like, I'm a very creative person, and it just literally zapped my creativity. Like, it just, boop. Yeah. I couldn't think about creative things and imagine things and write. I would write poetry. I would write songs. I would write things. I would think up like movies and things in my head, and it just all boop gone. And all it was just whatever's in front of you. You need to do whatever's in front of you, and it was good for that. It was good for cleaning, good for working, good for doing schoolwork in a way. But I felt like it made me almost like a robot or something. So I stopped taking it.
It turned his little friend, same age, that lived in our neighborhood. His parents wound up putting him on the medicine, and the poor kid, he was like a zombie. He was like a walking zombie. I knew him before medication, and I knew him after medication. And unfortunately, he grew up to be, he's wild and crazy now. He's roaming the streets. He's just a crazy kid. I wouldn't be surprised if he wound up walking in somewhere and doing something wild someday. I just feel like that the whole school system needs revamping.
Right.
Like,
You know, I knew a
to be
girl.
looked at.
I knew a girl that, you know, she told me about how I was friends with her, and she was pretty ditzy, I will say. But she told me that when she was a child, her parents put her on Ritalin since she was like in kindergarten, okay? And she was on it for years and years and years of her life until finally she was a teenager, and then they told her that they believe it was a misdiagnosis and that she never actually had ADD, and that in a way she feels like it fried her brain. And you know,
I believe it.
she would have such memory issues and really like forgetful and ditzy and, you know, problems because of it. But
Right. It's an easy fix for teachers, and I can see how, because, you know, it does sedate you somewhat. It's just not right, and it's something that parents need to be aware of, because like I said, the form that the school gave me, it had about 20 questions on it, and I took that form to the pediatrician's office. He looked at it, saw that I had checked, you know, 4 or 5 of the boxes. Yeah, Jacob gets up out of his chair. He does this, that, and other. Oh, he needs some medicine. It was doing right.
that's insane.
It was just too easy to give it to him. Way too easy. Way too easy to put him on it.
I mean, they get money.
And
It's a big industry. They make a lot of money. They write these prescriptions left and
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because once the school system gets him diagnosed with that, then he gets put in special classes. They get extra money for when your child has an IEP. I mean, I've been through it all with him. And now he's a fine young man, grown, just normal every day, just like everybody else. And as far as the masks go, people wearing those, that's just so ridiculous. Come on. It says on the box they don't do anything for you. I mean, how stupid are we? Don't put them on. They don't help.
Right.
They don't do anything for you.
Yeah, it
All
says
right,
it on the
hon.
box, so people need to think outside the
It
box
does.
and realize
It's
that
right there.
you don't blindly follow the authority figures telling you to do something just because they're telling you to do it. Like, use your own brain. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Right,
Great
right.
call. Thank
Sure.
you. You have a good
Thank
day.
you for what you do, Millie. God bless you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go to the next caller. All right. Hi, Lee, calling about the kids in cages.
Yeah, Millie, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. I live here in Texas, and I had to listen to AOC cry about Trump for 4 years, and now they're even doing it worse than ever. And where's everybody at?
Right. Where's the left on the kids in cages? Right? Where's the outcry? Where's the hysteria?
Exactly. Why they destroy our country.
I mean, they have these kids laying on the floor, wrapped up in tinfoil, looking like baked potatoes, sleeping on the floor, and yet there's $85 million that were allotted for them to be put up in hotel accommodations and other, like, sleeping arrangements, but they're literally on the floor, wrapped in, like, foil. It's insane. And the left is pretty silent, I would say.
Yeah, they sure are. It's very aggravating.
Right. It's a double standard.
Hello.
It's clear that they have double standards.
Yeah, but I just wanted to tell you you're doing a great job, and I love your show, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Lee. All right, let's go to the next caller. All right, let's go to Paul. Hi, Paul.
Hi, dear. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You've got a history lesson coming. I've got 3 points. And if you pay attention very carefully, you'll see what is happening in D.C. It's fenced off. And the president is never going back to the White House. But not for reasons you may be thinking. Okay, now think about it. The World Economic Forum, which is a corporation, they went to all the trouble to steal a corporation whose assets are in the process of being seized. Most do not even see this, and they didn't even know that the United States, our nation, was a corporation. Listen to my point. In 1871, a seditious act was performed by the government. A coup was made to rewrite the Constitution and put "we the people" in all capitals under a new corporate contract transferring the United States of America into the new corporation of the United States of America, which transferred the power of "we the people" and the Constitution over to the new corporation. Talk about sneaky. When they did that, it placed the citizens in the United States as property of the corporation, which was centered in Washington, D.C. This action made Washington, D.C. a foreign entity on American soil of sovereign states. It was established through a loan from the Vatican when D.C. was transferred into a city-state, and this corporate entity then ruled over the people. Citizens' rights were taken from them in this process, and no one realized this. And here's my point. When they did the broker deal to get the loan from the Vatican, they did so via the Bank of London. At that time, they transferred all the property in D.C. Columbia over to the corporate entity of D.C., a foreign corporation. Now here's where Trump came in. The forming of this corporation in D.C. is a major important issue to understand right now. For when President Trump signed the executive order in 2018 on election interference, fraud, for entities both foreign and domestic, it outlined how the assets would be seized. The president and the people knew and had the proof that a coup transpired out of the corporation of the United States of America, along with other foreign nations, and this was ignored by the corporation of D.C. They continued with their illegal steal, and the military is now in process of seizing the assets this foreign country known as the Corporation of the United States of America. And it appears that President Trump's executive order was actually directed at the Washington, D.C. corporate swamp cabal all along. And so D.C. is now walled in and filled with military guard. He's moved out permanently, for he cannot be president over a sovereign nation in a foreign land, which is what the White House and the Capitol are. President Trump was voted in by we the people, not a corporation. So what you're seeing right now is a movie. There are institutions going down left and right. The corporation is no longer. They're bankrupt. So keep your head up, patriots. Do what's right in your communities. Love your neighbors as yourself. We're sheep no more. And you've got to understand that we, the people, are the rightful sovereign rulers of this land.
So,
be brave.
Okay.
Do
So
not be
what are
afraid.
you saying? Are you saying that that Trump is still president? Is that what you're saying?
Look at the two presidents in history. Read your history. We've caught them. We've caught them all. The Seditious Act in 1871 was performed by the government. Infiltrators. Okay, deep state. You can take this all the way back to Mystery Babylon. And what does the word say? Come out of her, my people. Yes, they saw it coming. Why do you think President Trump said, we have it all? We caught them all. This ongoing coup through many administrations has been ended legally. This is a revolution we're in.
So I'm not really understanding, like I get you're saying that that this corporation is invalid and whatnot, and the people actually elected Trump. Like, I get that. But I don't understand, you're saying that Trump is still president, and so what do you think's going to happen? Like, you think that, like, what do you think's going to happen with Biden then? Because the thing is that's great what you're saying and all, but, you know, I've been with Trump's admins and lawyers and the people direct to him, and I don't know if he's aware of that he's still president. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? He knows that he won. He knows that they were caught with the election meddling and election fraud. He knows that he has teams of people, investigators, top investigators across the country, working and auditing the machines and auditing the election, and they're still even getting more evidence. But we have the evidence that they were caught red-handed. That evidence was supposed to be presented, okay, in those 10 or so days after the 6th. The slates of electors were supposed to be sent back to the legislators, and at that point in time, they were going to have hearings, and the evidence was going to be presented. And that is what I believe Trump was saying when he says we caught them, we have it all. Meaning we have all the evidence we need to present in these hearings to show that they stole the election. And then what would have happened was that would have opened up a different voting process to where if they didn't get the right amount of votes, it would have went to a situation where it would have been one vote per state. And then when it would have went into that situation, one vote per state definitely would have given Trump that win. So that was the likely path for him to victory. But that was ruined on January 6th when that operation happened and the storming of the Capitol. At that point in time, they had the media narrative, they had the moral high ground, they had the upper hand. Pence turned his back. A bunch of other Republicans had the moral ammo they needed to turn their back on him. And they essentially that was the coup. They pulled a coup on him, and they basically forced him out the door. And then they inaugurated Biden. And Trump is not the technical president of the United States anymore, based on the fact that Biden was inaugurated. I understand what you're saying, though, as far as like from a when we're looking at validity, whether or not Biden's obviously not a valid president. He's not legitimate. And you've also discussed some of the legitimacies behind the corporate structure of America. But I don't really understand what you're saying. Like, are you saying that magically Trump's going to be put as president or something, and that Biden's going to be kicked out of the White House?
What can you do when you know that your judiciary, your legislature, and right now, your executive branch is a captured operation by foreign and domestic enemies?
Sure.
What do you do?
Well, it says in the Constitution that the people have the right to overthrow their tyrannical government, right? But that would actually require a revolution in this country that would be costing lives. It would be violent. We have to physically take the power back if that's what you're saying, or we have to go through, which I'm not advocating that, okay? I don't think we are there. I don't think we're at that point where that's needed, but I do think there's ways that we can try to take back our government. And the number one thing is we have to address the voter fraud. We have to address the Dominion fraud and these electronic voting machine systems. We need to address that, and we need more people working at the polls, more conservatives and people that are going to uphold election integrity working at the polls, working at the voting stations.
And that grassroots will happen.
Right.
We're not going to have a civil war. We're going to have and are having a revolution. The DNI Director of National Intelligence on January 19th gave President Trump the proof that foreign actors were involved. Okay? That was given the 19th. On the 20th, Congress did nothing about it. And that's my point. How can someone who's got caught red-handed, and they know that Congress is a captured operation, where does the power go from there? Well, that goes to our military. And the military reviews everything that the DNI, Radcliffe, has that was to be given to them to do something about it. They've reviewed everything. Believe me, they've reviewed everything. So what happens? The first line of defense is our Constitution. You protect the Constitution. Okay, that's why there's 3 battle groups off the West Coast and 2 battle groups off the East Coast, consisting of about 300 warships off the West and about 2 to 250 off the East. What's their second job? Their second job is to restore civil authority. Okay? Peacefully as you can.
Definitely.
And the third, you're going to find out really soon. Okay, you're going to find out that those that were involved in it, their assets will be gone, as in Trump signing his executive order, as in President Trump signing his executive order. And you're going to see this nation flourish because people will be arrested. And you have to understand Mystery Babylon and how it was formed. And throughout history, the Holy Spirit has told us to come out of her, my people. Well, who is she? What Trump has done, what President Trump has done.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for your call. I'm going to get to other callers now. Thank you, and you have a good day. Okay, so let's get to some other callers. We've got people holding. So, hello, Art.
Yeah.
Hi, Art.
How you doing today, Millie?
Doing great. So, what's your thoughts on the shootings?
Well, that was a real quick one, but the issue on the immigration, which came afterwards, sparked something else in my brain. On the shooting, real quickly, I've noticed I'll be 74 in a couple of months, so my memory on things is still pretty good, and it goes back quite a ways. From about George Sr. on forward, past 25 years, 35 years, I've noticed a possible trend that maybe you can do a dual search on sometime if you haven't got anything else to do for a few minutes. But if you go back and search on the dates on all these idiotic shootings, and then compare the dates on when the issues in Congress coming up on limiting or getting rid of the Second Amendment, I think you find that a lot of times those dates match. Now, you can go ahead and make up your own conclusions on what's happening there, but this goes back at least as far as Ruby Ridge, Waco, and Oklahoma City. As to the immigration, I think the states, okay, anytime the federal government does something that endangers the citizens of a state, you know, their life, security, happiness, well-being, and so forth, they don't have to abide by that. So while the federal government can open the federal borders and say, y'all come, the states are not obligated to let them in. They can say, okay, fine, you want to let them in, fine, but not into our state. That being said, when it costs, what is it, $8,000 or more for people in Central Mexico or Central America and Mexico to come up here, that's bad enough. Where do they get all this money? Obviously, it, you know, on face value, that's not a bad deal where they're already living. But when it costs 50 to 70,000 for people from the Middle East to China to come here, that raises an even bigger issue. Obviously, these war-torn and poverty-stricken places can't be that bad unless there's an ulterior motive. If we go back to, what was it, the early mid-'80s,
you know,
there was a...
You made a really good point when you said that if you look at the timing of these shootings and the gun bills, that you'll often find that there was gun legislation introduced or bills introduced right before it. So right now, actually, earlier this month, the House actually passed 2 gun control bills just like a week ago. And then now we see all these shootings happening again, and the media talking about it, pushing it and giving it tons of exposure. And now, just in time to put pressure on the Senate, and now the Senate is going to be actually looking at and reviewing these gun control bills. Now the Senate is reviewing it with this, you know, impression of, okay, we better do something because this shooting just happened, right? So it is kind of convenient, the timing of these bills with these shootings. I will say that. Very good point you brought up.
Correct. Going along with this, and also bleeding into the immigration issue, Yuri Bezmenov, a high-level Soviet intelligence officer who defected to the U.S. back in, I think it was early mid-'80s, listed, I think it was 5 progressive stages of taking over a country like America, the United States. And the final, and I think it's the 5th stage, he said would happen very quickly, perhaps in as little as 2 months, where there's going to be an extreme amount of violence. You'll need to take away the guns for this. But the point that the even bigger point is that when it costs 50 to 70,000 for people from China and the Mideast to come here, why do they go to South and Central America, traipse through the jungle, up through the fire ant ridden and rattlesnake areas of Central America, Mexico, and even through Texas and Arizona? Why don't they just fly in if they're going to have free passage in? Unless there's an ulterior motive. Is it possible that BLM and Antifa have outlived their usefulness and it's time for professional terrorists?
That is an interesting thought. Definitely. I mean, well, if the cartels come up here, we definitely will be seeing an escalation in violence. That's for sure. We will see an escalation in gang activity. And you do have to wonder if that means terrorizing more towns and cities. You know, I don't know what the Democrats, if they actually have full control of these cartels or anything, but that's an interesting point you brought up. Thank you so much, Art. Thank you for your call. All right, so let's go to Jay. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Millie. How's it going?
Good.
Hi. So there was a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Sicarios. And in that movie, there's two movies that came out. Sicario is the first one, and the second one was called Sicarios, the Day of the Soldado. And it was all about how cartels were involved in human smuggling and how they actually allowed Middle Eastern individuals or people who were tied to some kind of terrorist organization to come up to the U.S. through the southern border. And in one scene, there was 3 individuals that had went into a store and some kind of location in Kansas or Kansas City, and they were suicide bombers. And when they went into the store, they blew up the store, and immediately it caused a chain reaction that was basically used as an excuse to have military, I guess more like, I don't want to call it covert ops, but they allowed the U.S., that allowed the U.S. military to become more involved into Mexico and to basically allow full jurisdiction over there from the U.S., I guess U.S. military, U.S. law enforcement into Mexico. And from there, it just kept on escalating into more things. So my concern is going to be if whether or not in these next couple of years or in a very, very near future, you know, we will witness some kind of false flag attack. And from there, it would just cause a chain reaction, you know, maybe another 9/11 type style attack that will put us more in the Middle East and maybe even more military presence or more military action into Mexico, Central and South America.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Interesting you say that. The border's definitely, I mean, I don't know whether or not we're going to see another false flag or anything like that, but I definitely think we're going to see a lot more violence and controversy and clashing going on when we're seeing these drug cartels back in action, back in power, thanks to Joe Biden. Thank you so much for your call. Okay, so let's go to the next caller. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Millie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Well, hi. I just wanted to talk about the border and how it is planned by our government to let, you know, the cartel and our government, I believe, work together. Eric Holder sent tons of military-style weapons into Mexico, and that's when it erupted with these cartels. He said it was for a different reason, of course, but it's very sinister. He wanted to track the guns through Mexico is what he wanted to do. And so now we see it escalating and people coming over the border. But what we see in California is that the border is being overrun in one area, and the cartel, where our people are trying to facilitate our border patrol and our ICE, they're running drugs up another end where there is no one. There's no border patrol because they're being taken care of or trying to handle and save lives coming across those rivers, those families, those children, and so on. And So, you know, I know a lot of government officials in California, like Pelosi, and so on, have their hands in cartel. So that is my concern, that the government, illegal government, as we want to really call it, had a plan. It is a operation, let's call it, through intelligence and through other areas. We don't know all of it, but we can see it. We can see the patterns and how our government and so on works with cartels. And then let's go up to San Bernardino in California, where there was that terrorist attack. I don't live but 20 minutes from there. And that was horrible. All those people slaughtered by that gentleman who came out of, I don't know, somewhere in the Middle East. And the FBI was well aware of him. And so those are my concerns, that what we've got going is a military and intelligence operation on our border with our government, or half of our government. You know, it kind of stacks up to where some people know things, some people don't. So I think we're in trouble is really my point.
Right. Well, you know, the cartels, they have a lot of money, that's for sure. And
yes, they do.
They rake in so much money on drugs, like literally stacks and stacks of money. So much money that you can buy off politicians, you can do whatever you want. And the CIA, they were already implicated with the Iran-Contra and the trafficking of cocaine and drugs into the United States. And so this is a way that the deep state funds itself. Okay? They know they could apprehend these people much sooner. They know what's going on. They're doing it. They go and find out drug dealers, and then they pretty much put the drug dealers under their thumb, and they have them move the drugs for them in the United States. I've personally known people that have told me stories about, that they've been in rooms with stacks of cash, stacks of drugs, and literally stacks of arms. Like, we're talking grenades and like rockets and mortars and things, because of the trafficking with the Mexican cartels and what goes on in California and the corruption. The judges are in on it. Many of the DAs are in on it. I mean, the corruption is immense. And the money, it's just so tempting. People are tempted by that money to get in on the take and to be part of that. And so, of course, it's probably for no reason. When Trump was in control, he was able to, he cut down and did all these busts on human trafficking, which human trafficking makes tons of money. Okay, you can sell humans not just once, over and over and over and over again. That is why human trafficking is so profitable. It's a big money business. Trump was hitting all of the human trafficking networks with all of these raids, going after these people, cutting down that money, okay, cutting off those money supplies, and then going after people like Epstein, right? Going after the people supplying the kids and the young prostitutes to the rich and the powerful, going after the drugs and the cartels on the Mexican borders, closing up the borders, making it harder for that exchange to happen with drugs and money. And in effect, what he was doing was he was actually cutting off the deep state's access to that black market money, drying up their resources and their powers. So, of course, the first thing Biden's going to do is open up the floodgates to try to get business back on and booming. He's not talking about business booming for the American economy, for small businesses. No, he's talking about business booming for the cartels and for the black ops that the CIA and the deep state are running to get that black market money. All right. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for your call.
Thanks, Millie. Bye.
Okay, so let's go to the next caller. Hello. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Millie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. The gentleman who called 3 callers before was spot on. Just want to underline that. And if I could summarize, basically what he was saying is that the jure government, the United States of America, the Republic, has been under state capture for a number of years and decades. And that Trump reversed that state capture. And the process is being unfolded right now. So I just want to underline that. But everything he said, I thought he was coming off a little didactic in the beginning, but everything he said was spot on. Really good stuff.
Okay,
but I wanted to comment about...
So I guess there's something I must not be like in tune with, because I'm not really understanding what you guys are saying by that Trump undid all of this and that somehow he's still president. I don't really understand what you're saying.
I'm not saying that he's still president. I'm saying that legally he's the Biden was installed. That's all I'll say. And obviously he's acting like the installed president. Okay, there have been periods in our country where we've had 2 presidents. Mm-hmm. We had Jefferson Davis and Abraham Lincoln. So that's not uncommon. All right. So you have to look back. I'm going to give you some bullet points, and then I'm going to move on to the next one because I don't want to like overwhelm you and spend a lot of time.
Right, because you know that like the Queen of England is supposedly illegitimate, and supposedly the Masons stole the cornerstone and replaced it. The cornerstone she has is like a sewer drain cap or something, and that she was coronated illegitimately on a sewer cap that was, made to look like a cornerstone. But here's the thing: that doesn't, just because she's illegitimate, does that mean that the rightful people or families are gonna all of a sudden take over? The problem, what I'm having with this is, I don't really understand what the purpose is of.
I'll give you a very quick overview right now. A very quick overview. There are 3 city-states that rule the world: the Vatican, that's Rome, the Holy See. It owns the corporation, the Crown Corporation in London. That controls all admiralty finance in the world, okay? That's the seat of finance. And then third, the military jurisdiction, which is Washington, D.C., all right? That's why the D.C. flag has 3 stars, okay, in it, all right? So that's all. And that, it became that way in the Organic Act of 1871. And as the gentleman said, it was an illegal act by Congress to transfer the republic power of the we the people into a corporate government, okay? 70 years later, that corporation went into bankruptcy. The Federal Reserve Act came in. And then 20 years after that, you had HJR 192, which dissolved all branches of government, and the United States existed in name only. Look it up. They had the Trading with the Enemy Act combined with the Emergency Banking Relief Act, Proclamation 2029-2030. These are all historical points you should know as an American. Once you know these points, you'll understand the nature of things and why they are the way they are. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's not even conservative versus liberal. It's the de facto against the de jure government, which is the United States of America, the Republic, okay? And this stuff is not taught in schools. It's not. It's very hard to come by in knowledge. I've been studying this for over 20 years. And that gentleman really hit some of the very finer points. The Queen of England does not own the Crown Corporation. She is a part ownership. She only has part ownership. The Vatican owns it, just as the Vatican owns the United States Corporation. Okay, which is why Joe Biden is a Roman Catholic. Which is why all the Supreme Court justices are Catholic. Which is why you have an immigration policy the way you do. They're letting in most of these migrants from Catholic countries. The Pope issued an encyclical called Laudato Si. In that encyclical, he stated a more just sharing of resources. Well, who has most of the resources? Who are the richest countries in the world? They tend to be Protestant countries like England, Australia, South Africa, United States, Canada. So the Pope's saying, hey, you guys got to share your wealth with these people, and we're going to make it easy for you about jamming your borders. So Biden is doing what his pontiff is telling him to do, okay? And if you're recalcitrant on that point, something will happen, what happened in Dealey Plaza. And all prior presidents after JFK knew that. So he's being obedient to his pontiff. So what that gentleman said was spot on point. When he was referencing in Mystery Babylon, and any biblical student who knows Revelation knows who Mystery Babylon, mother of harlots, is. It is the church. It is the Vatican.
Okay. Thank you so much for your call. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go to some other callers here. Matt calling about the masks and the shutdown. Hello, Matt.
Hey. Yeah. Hey, this is Darkside Holorime. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I just want to say something about the masks. To begin with, mask mandates that can't give you a mask that works and doesn't have any mandate for the disposal of the masks is not about your health. I try to be the objective mind of reason in all of this stuff. I wanted to go back, your election coup video. And the day that was aired on Facebook, that group has a Facebook account. And when they aired that, I shared it the day before the election. And the day of the election, my account was gone. My Facebook account was deleted. And I've been conducting a couple of investigations for a couple of years now. And one of them was into Craigslist and international credit card fraud. And the other was into this agency that's located in Washington, D.C. called the Action Network. And they were trying to sell me access to speak on the floor of Congress for $150. Well, a year later, both of those investigations intersected with each other when I started seeing a lot of the names were the same. I followed the Craigslist in international credit card fraud back to the Action Network operating out of Seychelles, France. And then I started seeing all these other names that were ringing these bells, and it brought it all together. The Action Network is operated out of Washington, D.C., and they sponsor Antifa, they sponsor BLM, and they were part of the election fraud, and they're engaged in human trafficking and pedophilia. I have all of the receipts for all of this stuff, okay? And I've given it over to the Secret Service and the FTC and everybody. I'm talking to these people all day long on the phone. So this is all coming out. Now, apart what's going on, what these guys are trying to get to about Donald Trump being president, okay? When they did the breach of the the Capitol, they were supposed to take everybody into custody. And what it is right now, there's a lot of people out there that believe in Biden. As hard as that may be to acknowledge, that there's people out there that actually think that he's a good guy. And a lot of those people are in the military, and they were not agreeing with arresting all these people. So what's happening right now is everybody in the military is going to be sworn in again. This is on good intelligence I've got, and they're being sworn in again and given a chance to follow their oath of office or be dishonorably discharged. Here's the thing. Everybody from George Washington up to Ulysses S. Grant were always inaugurated on March 4th of each inauguration. And
well, March 4th has come and went. Is that the Q day? Was that Q day?
Hold on. I'm going to get there. That was the date that they were supposed to do this arrest and everything. Or that's when Trump was supposed to be reinstated. Okay? There's a whole bunch of things going on behind the scenes that they're not going to let you know. Like, even if you talk to them, they can't let you know. They can't play their cards in public. Okay.
I just don't know about all this because here's the thing. Okay, like it's nice to have all these theories, but I've actually been in the room with people who would know. Okay, and they don't know what you're talking about. It's like there's a bunch of people that are operating in this realm of like, though there's going to be this magical thing and they're just going to arrest these people and Trump's going to be reinstated as president. And I'm telling you right now, as somebody who's been around literally the president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, like literally around his staff, his admin, like for days and weeks on end, I'm telling you right now, there was no indication that anything what you are saying is going to happen.
Okay.
Zero.
I understand.
Zero.
I understand what you're saying, Millicent. But listen, I'm a third-generation military with a Q clearance, and I can tell you right now that they're not allowed to tell you what's really going on. Okay, here's what, and I'm telling you what's really going on is they're going to swear in the military again, and hold them to their oath. Okay, back on the track of what I was trying to tell you.
I mean, we'll see. That would be great. That would be amazing. But we will see. Like, I can't speak to that, and I'm not going to endorse that because people are saying that on the internet or calling in and saying that. I'm not going to endorse that theory when I've actually been in the room with his staff. I've been in the room with his lawyers. I've been around these teams of people that were literally the ones doing the investigations in these hearings at all of these different states. There was no indication that there was going to be this magical thing and takeover. It didn't happen on the 6th. It didn't happen in the weeks following that.
They're not allowed to discuss that in front of you. They're not allowed to. That's Constitution. The United States Constitution doesn't allow them under their oath of office to share that information. That's confidential military information. That's not allowed to be shared with you. They can't tell you what's going on. But I'm not asking you to endorse
Well, if you supposedly have Q clearances, how are you then allowed to share this with us right now?
Because it's coming out everywhere. If you look at it, I mean, I'm not giving you any I'm not giving you any clearance related material.
Okay.
I'm not compromising.
Well, none of them were saying any of the stuff that you said on air. None of them.
Okay, well, maybe you spend a lot of time doing research and everything, but and you don't have a chance to really look at stuff. So there's a lot of people out there who have clearance that are online and have YouTube channels. And this is all coming out right now.
There's also a lot of information operations online and disinformation online. There is.
There's tons of it.
And we have to be weary of that because we don't know who some of these people really are or if they are who they say they are when they're putting things out on these threads and these boards, these message boards. We don't know if they are who they say they are. It would be really easy to inject disinformation in those boards and steer movements of people into the wrong direction.
That's exactly correct. You know, when the Q was in full swing back in December, the JFK Jr. Twitter page announced that he was going to be coming out in Dallas on Dallas 11th at the rally down there and be announcing that he's running for vice president. He's going to be the vice president. And that never happened. And that was when they stepped away from the Q because the Q had become so compromised and so infiltrated with disinformation that they had to distance themselves from that.
Right.
Listen, the Q was invented before JFK, before the original JFK was assassinated, and they've been on the dark web looking
All
at
right.
pedophilia for decades.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your call. Thank you. All right, so that concludes our callers for today. There are still a bunch of people holding and trying to get in, but unfortunately, it's already 4 o'clock. I've went an entire hour over just to get through some of these calls. But there will be other shows in the future that you guys can call into. So once again, I'm an independent journalist. You guys can support me by going to millennialmillie.com and making a purchase. We have tons of hats, shirts, beanies, stickers, cool merchandise on there. The Shadowgate shirts and hats are limited edition. Probably not going to be doing another run of those, so get them while they last. Remember, Shadowgate 3 will be coming out, and when it does, these things are going to fly off the shelf like we already had happen before. The men's literally flew off the shelf. We had to reorder another shipment of it, and we did get that shipment in. So go ahead and take advantage of these shirts while they're there. They are high quality shirts. Everyone that gets them loves them, and they comment on how high quality they are. Your purchases support independent journalism. I also have a donation button. I really appreciate that as well if you guys were to donate and help support me so I can continue to grow and expand. And remember, if you guys want to be able to watch my show 2 to 3 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Time, you guys could do so on Twitch because I will not be going live on my other social media platforms tomorrow. I will be going live on Twitch tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as every day this week, Monday through Friday, 2 to 3, sometimes 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So that concludes the show today.